Hi guys, it's Rebecca from the B&O Railroad Museum. Next up, we're going to read one of my favorite books for spring. It's called Here Comes the Garbage Barge. Garbage. Big, heaping, stinking mounds of garbage. Big bags of garbage on the sidewalk. Garbage trucks overflowing with garbage. Landfills reaching up to the heavens with more and more garbage, garbage, garbage. Did you know that the average American makes about 4 pounds of garbage every day? Well, a while back, in the town of Islip, the average person made 7 pounds of garbage every day. Islip is a little town on Long Island, right near New York City, and Islip had a problem: garbage. To be exact, 3,168 tons of garbage, and nowhere to put it. Enter the garbage barge. See, this guy in the garbage business named Gino Straffolino came up with a brilliant plan. A garbage barge would carry the Long Island garbage down to North Carolina. Mr. Straffolino had a friend there, Joey LaMotta. "Everything is arranged," Joey told him. "You bring me that garbage, I'll take care of it." Some poor farmers would be paid to take the garbage and bury it on their farms. Clever, huh? So on March 22nd, 1987, all 3,168 tons of garbage was loaded up. Then a little tugboat named the Break of Dawn began its long journey south, tugging the rusty old garbage barge behind it. The Break of Dawn was a happy little tugboat. Her captain and crew was Captain McDuffie. Together they tugged the garbage barge down the east coast of America. "Toot toot," said the tugboat as it entered the harbor in Morehead City, North Carolina. North Carolina, land of sand dunes and pine trees, of barbecue and mountains and basketball. Smelling something strange, 2 old sisters who lived on the beach ran and got their binoculars. "Look," said Miss Alma McIver, "it's garbage." "In our beautiful harbor?" said Miss Ida McIver. "What the hairy heck? That ain't right. Call the law." So a police boat went out to greet the garbage barge. It was not a friendly greeting. "You can't park that garbage in our harbor." "I've got orders to dock here, and I'm gonna follow 'em," cried Captain McDuffie. "I'm afraid you can't do that," said the policeman. "Well, blow me down," said Captain McDuffie, scratching his whiskers, and he radioed his boss. "They don't want our garbage," Captain McDuffie said to Gino Straffolino. "Where's that fella who was supposed to meet me?" "Joey had a little accident," said Mr. Straffolino. "Just stay put while I make a couple of calls." But the minutes turned into hours, turned into days, just Captain McDuffie with a barge full of garbage. It wasn't much company. Finally, Mr. Straffolino's voice came through on the radio. "Bring that garbage down to New Orleans," he said. "I know this guy, Tony Cafone. He'll take it." "Well, let those saints go marching in," shouted Captain McDuffie. See, New Orleans was his hometown. Surely folks back home would be happy to see him and his big load of garbage. "Ahoy!" he called as they came within view of the city. "Hard to starboard! There she blows!" New Orleans, birthplace of jazz, home of black and red fish, and streets filled with music, friendly faces, streetcars, garbage. The mayor could see the garbage barge way off on the horizon. News of the wandering garbage had already reached him. "We've got enough of our own trash," he told his staff. "Call the Coast Guard." The Coast Guard arrived just in time to stop the garbage barge from making its way up the mighty Mississippi. "Shiver me timbers," moaned Captain McDuffie. "You can't do this to a hometown boy." "Oh, yes, we can," called the Coast Guard. What could Captain McDuffie say? "Alrighty then, full speed backwards," he ordered himself. "Aye, aye, Captain," he replied. And at dusk, the Break of Dawn and the tired old garbage barge began their sad journey back out to sea. There they were, floating out in the Gulf of Mexico. This was getting ridiculous. Would no one take this garbage, which was really starting to stink? Captain McDuffie radioed his boss. "Okay," said Gino Straffolino. "There's this guy down in Mexico. He owes me a favor. Goes by the name of John Smith. I'll tell him you're coming." "Alrighty then," Captain McDuffie grumbled. "Southward, ho!" Mexico, land of enchantment, of enchiladas and folk art, of swaying palm trees and moonlit beaches. News of the floating garbage barge had arrived before Captain McDuffie. As the garbage barge approached Telteca Puerto, it was surrounded by the Mexican Navy. A loud voice came through a loudspeaker. "Rapido!" That means get moving, fast, in Spanish. These guys had guns. Captain McDuffie had no choice. He turned his little tugboat around and schlumped across the wheel. He headed back out to sea. "Where next?" the captain asked Mr. Straffolino. "Belize," said Mr. Straffolino. "It's a country next to Mexico. I know this guy, Rico D'Amico." Belize, land of bananas, of beautiful coral reefs, tropical flowers, and colorful birds. Pictures of the garbage barge had been on the local news. Captain McDuffie had almost reached the dock when he saw a line of soldiers waving their arms. "Congo," they shouted. Roughly translated, that means, "Forget about it." 6 weeks had passed since the garbage barge had set out, and the garbage was getting really funky. Nobody wanted it, and of course they didn't. It was somebody else's 6-week-old garbage. Captain McDuffie radioed Mr. Straffolino once again. "I can't take it anymore. I quit." Okay, said Mr. Straffolino. "I'll take the garbage back to Long Island, but I got a couple places you could try along the way." Texas, the Lone Star State, home of cowboys, cacti, Cadillacs, and oil. Black gold, they call it. The garbage barge arrived in a harbor near Houston, only to find some Texas Rangers in speedboats, shaking their heads. No. Next stop, Florida, the Sunshine State, home of alligators, beautiful beaches, oranges, and grandparents. The garbage barge was not welcomed. By now, the garbage barge was famous. It had been on TV and in the headlines of all the papers. Comedians even told jokes about it. But as Captain McDuffie and the break of dawn tugged into New York Harbor, they were a sad sight. Captain McDuffie's mouth hung open, the little tugboat forgot to toot, and the garbage barge looked the saddest and smelled the smelliest of all. "Well, me mateys, here we are, back where we began," Captain McDuffie sighed to his 2 boats as they finally pulled into the Islip harbor. But guess what? Islip had seen this coming. They refused to take the garbage. And the garbage was not welcome anywhere on Long Island, or in New Jersey, or in New York City either. For a whole summer, Captain McDuffie and his little tugboat tugged the garbage around New York. What else could he do? "Look, Mom," kids would say, "here comes the garbage barge." As the summer days got hotter, the garbage grew beyond stinky. Someone had to take it. They just had to. Then, at last, "Good news," said Gino Straffolino. "Here's the deal. Brooklyn's gonna take that garbage and they're gonna burn it. A judge told them they had to. See, they got this incinerator." "Aye, aye," mumbled Captain McDuffie. And on September 1st, 1987, 162 days after the garbage barge had first set out, it reached its final harbor. Brooklyn, former home of the Dodgers, current home of synagogues and mosques, and greasy diners with breakfast specials. 3,168 tons of garbage was unloaded by cranes, put onto trucks, and hauled to the incinerator. It burned for hours, and when it was done, it only weighed 430 tons. Then it was hauled off and buried in a landfill in Islip. The town had been forced by the judge to take back what was left of its stinking garbage. Justice. The break of dawn and Captain McDuffie were free to go back to New Orleans. As they steered out to sea, people waved and took pictures. "It's a fair wind and open sea, me hearties," the crusty old captain shouted, and he patted the tugboat on its wheel. Together they had traveled over 6,000 miles, tugging the unloved garbage barge. It was time to go home. The end. Thanks for listening with me. I hope you guys have a great day.